Hi. Some of these right-wing Christian conservatives will very often talk about how they think that feminists have lied to women, and as a result of this, modern Western women are miserable, or at least are going to end up miserable cat ladies, okay? Because they claim that feminists are lying and telling women that the way to pursue happiness is through career or put in like your interests and hobbies before like finding a man to marry and have children with. Okay. Um, Now, I don't think most feminists actually are telling women not to get married or not to have kids, and women, you know, certainly do have careers and families as well. It is true that men and women are not getting married like as young as what they were before. Um, but anyway, if we were to go along with this theory that women have been lied to and that they're miserable as a result of this lie, for a minute, I'm going to say, let's just listen for a minute to see how happy a woman is if she does not fall for this apparent feminist lie. Let's see how happy a woman is who does not buy this lie that they claim that we're being sold.
And I wasn't really, when I first met him, I won't tell you how he was dressed or anything because I don't want to embarrass him, but I was not attracted physically to him. But I was attracted to his intelligence, his wit. I mean, he was tall, but I didn't think he was handsome. I won't tell you, sorry. And then we went to Florida for a month after graduation to be with his family. And I don't know, things just kind of went downhill. I was critical of things about him. I was looking at all of that instead of what good was about him. I did think he was very handsome, though. He took off his glasses. He just dressed better. So I did think he was very handsome. So I was attracted to him physically, but there weren't those butterflies and the things that I thought should be there with a man that I was supposedly in love with. So then right before I came back home to California, the night before, he said to me, back then I don't know if engagements were that big a deal. I don't know, I wasn't expecting anything from him. Men spend so much money now on the engagement ring, a fancy restaurant, and everything that they do to make it special for the girl. But for me, we were just in his home, and he said to me, how would you like to be Mrs. Alexander? And I said, sure, that was it. No ring, no going on his knee, no, nothing, And so, and I wasn't that excited though. I was just like, sure, So we departed and I flew home. And on the way home, I'm going, I don't have butterflies. I don't have all these emotions. How could I be in love with him without all of this? I know he's a good man. I know he would make a great husband and father. He's got all these incredible qualities that I love about him. He loves the Lord. He works hard, but I don't know, that emotion's missing. And I just battled myself with that. So then he came to my parents' house and we were engaged for a couple months to get the wedding plan and everything. And we argued a lot about everything. We didn't get along that great because I was so critical. And all I saw was my parents arguing and quarreling. So I was just, I don't know. And I wasn't that way with other people. It was just so frustrating. I felt like he stole my joy. I don't know what was wrong with me. And so I went on my wedding day and, none of those butterflies and excitement. I'd go to my bridal showers and none of that. It was just like this emptiness to me. It's like, why don't I have that in me? I don't like this. I want to have butterflies and so excited. But we discussed that divorce would never be in our vocabulary. So we got married. And the first 20 years were rough because I was still critical. But we were committed to each other, very, very committed. Divorce was never an option. We didn't fight in front of our kids. Like we didn't throw things, slam doors, cuss at each other, raise our voices. It wasn't like that. We just would if he says the sky was blue, I would say it was green or something. We just argued about everything. And he's definitely gotten a lot healthier. And I think just modeling it to him and discussing with him without being all emotional and obnoxious and nagging him and manipulating him with silent treatment and all that garbage that I used to do. And I always had to be right. if he didn't agree with me, we did not have a good relationship. So, and then if he didn't agree with me, I'd give him this cold, silent treatment and manipulate him until he came and apologized to me. Don't do that. It's so wrong. Share your opinions with them, your thoughts, and then let them go. He's a man. You don't want someone manipulating you, trying to control you with their moods and their silent treatment. Some of you may have a husband that does that to you, and you do not like that. Do not treat him like that. Treat him how you want him to treat you. This is what Scripture tells us to do. So anyway, women, remember, just because you've maybe lost the butterflies and the emotions and the feelings for your husband, that's not love. Love is a commitment. You vowed on your wedding day, until death do you part. You keep that commitment. You keep fighting for your marriage, not only for you and for obeying God, but for your husband, for your children especially. Divorce is so devastating to children. And
Okay, I don't know about you, but listening to that has really made me think that women are going to regret not following in her footsteps. Okay, now this is Laurie Alexander, aka the transformed wife, she calls herself, here on YouTube. Okay, and yeah, she's a Christian lady who she's very vocal about the fact that women should get married as young as possible, as soon as possible, and that she doesn't seem to think that women should pursue careers. Okay, a little while ago she did an interview with Pearl Davis, and they both basically sat there and like bitched about women in the workforce, basically talking about how you know, women should be at home. Okay, now I kind of think, listening to this, I kind of think that it's probably jealousy, to be honest. Like, this transformed wife, she really does not sound happy. Okay, now maybe she's happier in her marriage now. I would hope so. I would hope her and her husband are happier now. But it doesn't sound like that she's had a very happy marriage. Okay, now she's apparently tried to backtrack on this and say like, oh, no, I just said I wasn't attracted to my husband at first. Okay, but well, you can clearly hear, like, I mean, like everything's like doom and gloom. It's like, okay, you didn't like the way he was dressed when you first met him, and she said she wasn't going to mention what he was wearing because she didn't want to embarrass him, but like mentioning that she didn't like what he was wearing in the first place is gonna, well, if he hears that, is that not like just the same as like if you just outright told people what he was wearing, you know, as well as like you know, if he was to hear her say that she was never excited about getting married, that she felt like he stole her joy, you know, that's, you know, that's really quite sad, you know, I mean, you know, it's quite a sort of depressing take, really. And then she said the first 20 years were rough. The first 20 years. Okay, it's like, okay, I could understand somebody saying, like, oh, the first few months that we were married was difficult, or maybe the first year, but 20 years? If you murdered somebody, you could get out of prison in that time. Or at least here in the UK you could. Like, some murderers would get out of prison sooner than that. That's like 20 years that she said that they, you know, would argue about a lot of stuff. She said she disagreed with almost everything he said. Like, if he said the sky is blue, she'd have to disagree with it. And I kind of think this is a little bit of an example of the hypocrisy. Some of these people who lecture other women on how to be, how hypocritical some of them can be, right? Because, like, you know, she talks about submitting to your husband, okay, and, you know, some of these conservatives, not all of them, some of them, they kind of talk as if they think that most women are like these horrible, bossy, want to emasculate the man kind of thing. Like this, they seem to think there has to be either the woman has to submit and the man has to be in charge, or if the woman doesn't agree with submitting, they kind of think that that means that the woman then wants to take control and boss the man around. And I kind of think, like, well, you know, one doesn't have to be in charge all the time, you know, like, it can be an equal partnership. And when I say equal, no, I'm not saying men and women are the same. I just mean equally important in the relationship. Okay, sometimes the man's going to know better. Sometimes the woman's going to know better. Okay, sometimes they're going to have disagreements. All right, but if this lady was having so many disagreements with her husband, like right from the beginning, I say either she married somebody she's completely incompatible with, and whether that's a case of like feeling societal pressure, or maybe pressure from her family, or maybe because of her religion, she kind of thinks, oh, as a woman, my place is to find a husband and serve a man as soon as possible. And this is where I kind of think that like rushing into like a marriage is actually kind of harmful. Okay, I think people should take the time to find the right person, and I kind of think, you know, the advice from some conservatives and some people from the manosphere, when they try to, you know, sort of shame women and say like, oh, you should be married as young as possible, and you should marry a man as soon as possible, because if you take the time to find the right person, you're just being too fussy. And although obviously there are going to be some people who are too fussy, but like some people in the manosphere seem to want to shame women for having any standards at all. Okay, and like, you know, this is can be the result if you don't find somebody who is compatible with you, you know, and then you end up marrying them, you could be miserable. Okay, I do also slightly wonder, and like, I mean, I don't know this woman, obviously, the transformed wife, but like, I mean, she does kind of give the impression that she's the one who like you know, who was the more awkward one in the marriage. Like, she said that she would pick on him over little things. She said that she would use silent treatment and manipulation. And she sort of then goes on to say, to tell other women not to do that, like as if she thinks most women are doing that, okay? And this is where I kind of wonder a little bit whether some of these women who go on about how modern day women are not treating their husbands right, maybe it's a little bit of projection, okay? Again, I don't know, because I don't know her and I don't know her husband. For all I know, he could be an asshole, but it's just the impression that she gives in this video is that she's the one that has a bit of a problem. Okay, you didn't have strong feelings for your husband and you married him, and it kind of, the impression she gives is that she sort of picked on him quite a bit. That's the impression she gives, although she claims to have, you know, be a better person now. Maybe that's why she calls herself the transformed wife. I don't know. Okay, but I would say like maybe she shouldn't just assume that everybody is going to be like really argumentative with their husband, you know. Anyway, okay. So the point I'm kind of getting here is, and I'm not trying to shit on traditional relationships, okay, and nor am I trying to say that I don't like Christians or anything like that, okay. It's just when it comes to the sort of some of the Christian conservatives in the manosphere, they have a very sort of the man can do no wrong, but everything's the woman's fault, and the blame always goes on to the woman. Okay, and they'll criticise like everything women do and women's choices, and like I said, they'll criticise, they say women have fallen for this feminist lie and all that, and I kind of think like, by giving the impression that your way of life is definitely going to lead to happiness is also a lie. Now, don't get me wrong, I would hope that most people who are living a traditional lifestyle or any kind of lifestyle are happy. I would hope that most of them are telling the truth, but people have to find out what's right for them and not be like pushed into things. You know, take propaganda from other people too seriously, okay? Like, I mean, if some people were discouraging women from marriage and family and encouraging them to put their career first, like, that could be harmful advice for women. But also trying to tell women that you should marry as soon as possible when you're really young, naive, and like to the first guy you meet, whether you're compatible or not, that would be very harmful advice, okay? You have to sort of have a bit of a balance, and you have to sort of like decide for yourself what kind of lifestyle you want and not be pushed into it, right? Because you know, they make fun of, some people online, they make fun of what they call crazy cat women, that being the stereotype of a woman who's single and bitter and might resent men and might be jealous of like women that are in happy relationships. But I kind of think this isn't much different, okay? If a woman is like been in an unhappy marriage and is bitter and is slagging women off for having careers because she's jealous, this is kind of like a similar thing. Like, I mean, what, the woman who's bitter and single, who's moaning, like who's jealous of, you know, women in successful relationships, or somebody who's married and not that happy and moaning about women who, you know, are say like more free and you know, single or have got time to find a man who they're compatible with. You know what I mean? It's not much difference, okay? The kind of propaganda either way, okay? The area where I would slightly agree with Laurie, though, is, well, when she's sort of saying, like, oh, you know, well, she says love is not an emotion, it's not all, like, you know, butterflies and all that all the time. Now, I mean, I do think love is an emotion, but it's more than that, okay? Like, I mean, all right, the sort of butterflies and the wanting to be with the person all the time is sort of like in the beginning phase of a relationship. That does kind of wear off. I mean, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have occasional moments of it in the future, but you're also going to have tough times. You're also going to have some arguments. You might go through bad patches in your marriage. There's times when you're going to get on each other's nerves. Okay, so I do kind of agree with her that you can't expect everything to be all rainbows and wonderful all the time. Okay, but what she kind of sold for her marriage is that it just sounded thoroughly miserable. Okay, so that's all I've got to say about that for now. Thank you for listening.